ADHD brains can overflow with ideas, beautiful, out of the box, creative ideas. But you know that moment when an idea leads to another and then suddenly your brain is full of possibilities, but no clear direction? Often we try to chase everything or nothing. Just how do we implement our ideas and how can Forrest Gumping help? Forrest Gumping, you may ask? Well, in the opening scene of the movie, a feather drifts unpredictably on the breeze before eventually landing at Forrest's feet as he sits on that park bench. Just like a feather, our ideas can float and land too without friction or force. Welcome to ADHDifference Strategies. I'm Julie Legg, your host, author of The Missing Piece and an ADHD advocate. Over the years, I've had the privilege of speaking with incredible guests, unpacking real life strategies, mindsets, and tools for navigating ADHD. This bite sized series brings those insights together short, practical, and ready to use. In a conversation I had with Douglas Katz on the ADHDifference podcast, he shared that for years he tried to control everything, control the interruptions, control the ideas, control the way his brain moved. Before we get into the strategy, I'm going to let Douglas explain part of this in his own words.
For a while, I really kept everything in and tried to control things. And you probably feel the same way, that when you do that, it's like trying to wrestle like a pit bull, right? It's counter to who you are.
Mm.
So when I started to understand the whole ADHD thing and inventing, I call it Forrest Gumping, because in the movie where the leaf or the feather, I think it was, floats on the air and sort of you let things go where they go. If you know how to control it, and this is why sometimes I call it a superpower, right? Like ADHD can be terrible and it can be really, really crippling, but it can also be this very fluid, like journey. And so I'll let ideas come and I'll be like, wait a minute.
What shifted for Douglas wasn't just understanding ADHD, it was how he responded to it. So instead of forcing ideas in a particular direction, he started letting ideas move. Hence, he calls it forest gumping. Just like the feather, often interpreted as representing fate or chance or the idea of going wherever life takes you. It lands exactly when it should, naturally. No force, no gripping on tightly. But the important part is that he's not letting ideas drift aimlessly. He's letting them drift until something gains momentum. ADHD brains generate ideas quickly, constantly, non-linear, creative, associative. The instinct is usually one of two things: shut the ideas down or act on all of them. But this gives you a third option. You allow the ideas, you observe them, you give them space. And this matters more than it might seem, because research shows that creativity doesn't always come from forcing a solution. In fact, stepping away, allowing the mind to wander, can significantly improve insight and problem solving. And this is known as the incubation effect. In other words, when you stop trying to force clarity, your brain often finds it anyway. And for ADHD thinkers, this is powerful because clarity doesn't come in a straight line. It comes through patterns, through repetition, through noticing what keeps coming back. So, how do you actually use this? Well, first of all, you capture the idea, but don't feel the need to commit. So, write it down. Don't act on it immediately. Next, let it sit. Give it time, days, sometimes weeks. Notice which ideas keep resurfacing, because the ideas that matter don't disappear, they return. Next, look for momentum. Some things start to align, whether it's a conversation, a person, a resource perhaps. Something clicks into place, and that's often your cue. Then Separate hobby energy from business energy because not every idea needs to become something. Some ideas are just for curiosity, for play, for learning. And when you allow that, you actually protect your energy. And finally, you pivot without shame. And if an idea doesn't move, that's not failure, it's information. And ADHD brains are incredibly good at pivoting, at adjusting, at shifting direction, but only if we don't attach meaning to letting something go. Because this isn't about being scattered, it's about learning how your brain filters. So you're not trying to reduce ideas, you're learning to recognize which ones matter. And that takes time, it takes space, and it takes trust. You don't need to wrestle your brain into submission, and you don't need to shut down your curiosity to be successful. Sometimes the smartest move is to watch where the wind is taking you and let the ideas float. Be okay not to grab every feather you see floating around you, but notice what returns and move when momentum appears. A big thanks to Douglas Katz for sharing this strategy and for being part of the broader ADHD difference conversation. If you'd like to hear more from that episode, head over to our main series. You'll be looking for season 2, episode 43, to hear more of his ADHD insights. Links are in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in, and for more practical tools for beautifully different brains, hit the subscribe button.